To the preliminaries, give you 10 minutes to tell us your story, the story of your life. After that, we will engage with you. 3 minutes before you leave the room, we'll also give you an opportunity to tell us your last testament, so to speak. The committee is chaired by the Speaker of the National Assembly. Yours truly here. I'll give an opportunity to all members to introduce themselves, then the clerk's office, then we move to the next, starting with the Deputy Speaker.
My name is Gladys Boss, member for Uasin Gishu County and Deputy Speaker at the National Assembly. Karibu.
Kimani Shongwa, MP Kikuyu.
Opio Wandai, MP Ugunja.
Junet Mohammed, MP Sunais.
Owen Baya, MP Kilifi North.
Robert Mbui, MP Kadhiani.
Rehab Mukami, County MP Nyeri, and I want to declare that Florence is my good friend. Thank you.
Ferdinand Wanyonyi, MP Kwanza, Trans Nzoia County.
George Gitonga Murugara, MP Tharaka, Tharaka Nithi County.
And David Kosi, my name. Pokot South MP.
Abdul Rahim Daud, MP for North Imenti, Meru County.
Naitwa Mheshimiwa Mishi Mboko, mjumbe wa Likoni. Mheshimiwa Florence Bore alikuwa mwenzangu katika timu ya wanaokimbia, msimuone hivyo, wanakimbia 200 meter na 100 meters.
Good afternoon, Caleb Amisi, MP Sabot.
Emma Semeri, Teso South. Naisula Lesuda, MP Samburu West, and I must also declare that I've worked closely with Honorable Florence in a parliamentary committee, and she's also my friend, but you can be sure today that will not hinder me exercising my duty.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. My name is Sarah Kioko. I am the acting clerk of the National Assembly, and I have with me the Director, Audit, Appropriations, and other select committees, Ms. Florence Abonyo, and also the Deputy Director, Legal Services, Mr. Michael Karuru, and quite a number of other staff of Parliament, the National Assembly specifically, who are assisting this committee. Thank you, Chairman.
Yeah, Florence, I'll ask you about a few documents. Do you have your KRA clearance certificate? Speak to the mic.
Yes, Chair.
Do you have your Higher Education Loans Board clearance?
Yes, Chair.
Ethics and Corruption Commission clearance?
Yes, Chair.
Certificate of Good Conduct?
Yes, Chair.
Have you ever been charged in a court of law and convicted of an offense?
No, Chair.
Are you a dual citizen of Kenya and any other sovereign?
I'm a Kenyan citizen.
You have your national ID card?
Yes, Chair.
You'll furnish the original with the clerk's team, and they'll give it back to you later.
Okay.
What is your financial net worth?
My financial net worth is about 200 million Kenya shillings.
What is that made of?
My home in Kericho with a tea farm, that is about 60 million. My home in Nairobi, that is about 25 million. Some pieces of land in Kericho and in Kajiado. Some vehicles that add up to about approximately, all of them about 175 million. So I've approximated to about 200 million. I also have shares in 3 SACCOs, one of them Pacoso, Marisha, and Kenya Highlands SACCO.
Is that family wealth or personal wealth?
Some of them are family wealth, like the Kericho home.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I'll give you 10 minutes to tell us the story of your life. I'm sure you've been watching the proceedings.
Yes.
tell us who is Florence Bore and how has your journey been up to where you are sitting?
Thank you, Honorable Chair and Honorable members. Let me take this opportunity to sincerely thank you for according me this opportunity to come before this committee. Secondly, I want to thank His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, for finding it fit to give me this position as a nominee in the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection. I want to promise that if approved by this committee, I will work hard and serve all Kenyans diligently. My early background, before I go there, I want to say I'm a wife, I'm a mother of 3, and I'm a firstborn in a family of 6. My mother is a retired teacher, and my late father was an accountant and an auditor with the tea industry, having worked before in the civil service. And I started my education at a school in my home village called Kapsuser Primary School from 1977 up to 1979, class 1 to class 3. Then my father moved me to St. Patrick's Primary School, still in Kericho County, and I started my education there. I continued with my education there from class 4 to class 7, and I did my CP. Then I moved on to Kipsigis Girls for my O levels, that is Form 1 to Form 4 in 1987. After that, I went back to the same school in 1988-89 for my Form 5 and Form 6. Thereafter, I went for attachment at Unilever T at the medical center, at the medical hospital, where I worked for about a year before I joined Kagumo Teachers Training College in Nyeri for my degree in education. Thereafter, I went for my teaching practice at Nakuru High School. Then I was posted to Kericho Day Secondary School.
Kagumo covering degrees?
I said a diploma in education.
Okay.
So, after my diploma in education in Kagumo, I was posted to Nakuru High and then posted to Kericho Day Secondary School, where I taught for about 20 years. While at Kericho Day, I was able to do my degree at Moi University because they started a campus just across the school at Kericho Teachers College. So within that campus, I was able to do my degree in education. Then I moved to another school, 2 more schools, Kericho T Boys and Toror Girls as a deputy principal in 2011. 2012, I resigned from teaching. I vied for the women rep seat, Kericho. I wasn't successful. Then I was employed at the county government of Bomet as a director of education in charge of vocational training. I was there in 2014 to 2015. 2015, I was appointed by the then government as a board member at GDC, Geothermal Development Company, the parastatal in the Ministry of Energy. I was a board member in charge of human resource and also the audit committee. That is where I was able to work with other board members to streamline GDC. We were able to have a new management. They had issues, but we were able to streamline to have a new CEO and new managers that helped the operations of the company. We were able to open new operations at Baringo Silali, and the company did well, and I believe it is still doing very well since then. From GDC in 2017, I resigned as a board member. I think I still had 1 more year to go. So I vied again for the woman rep seat in Kericho, and this time round I got it, and I came to Parliament, where I've been serving until the year 2022. In Parliament, I was able to serve together with some of my colleagues here in the Committee of Members' Welfare and Facilities, the Committee of Sports, Tourism and Culture, and Budget and Appropriation Committee. And I want to thank teachers that have shaped my life in my high school. Some of my high school teachers were the late Dr. Joyce Laboso. I also have teachers like Waduoro Ngwen. Those were my teachers during my time, and the other teachers that were with us at that time. And I want to thank them for shaping me. I want to promise that I will work hard and truly serve this nation. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now open up to the plenary for members to ask you and engage you in the manner that I said, starting with the Deputy Speaker.
Good afternoon, Mheshimiwa Bore.
Thank you.
First, I want to give you my heartiest congratulations on being nominated as cabinet for the position of Cabinet Secretary, Labor and Social Protection. As a women's rights activist, I am immensely proud that you're here today. And I know that some people said I shouldn't say that, but I have no apologies, Honorable Chair. Yes. So I want to ask you, one of the key pillars of the Kenya Kwanza manifesto is establishment of the universal social security system and revamping NSSF. So which specific social protection interventions will you embrace to achieve this pillar? Thank you.
We'll take 4, then you respond. Kimani Ichung'wa.
Thank you, Chair. Chair Florence worked with me in the Budget and Appropriations Committee before we were evicted and ended up again together in the Members' Welfare Committee. So I know her capacity. But Florence, you've been nominated into a very critical ministry, Ministry of Labor and Social Protection. And you've had the pronouncement by His Excellency the President on increasing, or rather changing our culture of savings and increasing the contributions to NSSF by everybody in the country, both employed and those who are not in formal employment. I would want to hear what your plan would be to ensure that we achieve this, and more so, even from those who are not employed. What strategies will you deploy to make sure that you encourage even those who are not in formal employment to get into savings? 2, you have seen stories of our young people who have been treated to very inhumane treatment in some countries, more so in the Middle East, a few countries in the Middle East. You remember the case of the young lady from Bomet County, your neighboring county, and many others from Kilifi and all over. I want to hear what interventions, again, if you are approved as minister, you would have to ensure that our young people are not treated to inhumane conditions wherever they go to work around the world. And more so, what interventions you would be proposing in your ministry to ensure that if any Kenyan is suffering out there, they have a way of getting back to the country without delay. Lastly, the working force in the West, basically in Western Europe, even in the Americas, they have an aging work group or working class. And here back at home, we have a very big population of young and very productive people who are very well trained and educated. I want to hear what you intend to do as minister to ensure that you tap into that market in the West, even in other far East countries like South Korea, They also have that problem of having an aging working group. Yet we have that labor here that we can be able to export there. I would want to hear just what your strategies would be to make sure that we get into those other areas other than Kenyans just looking into the Middle East where they get mistreated and they could get job opportunities in the Far East and in the Western countries.
Honorable Bore, you must have noticed some kind of unrest or turmoil the last few days or so within Kericho tea estates. Okay? A case in point is the touching of some tea plucking machines at the Tagabi estate owned by some multinational company in Belgut 2 weeks ago. We also saw some demonstration or running battles between the youth and police in Konoin constituency, I think 2 days ago. The issue here is about the employment of tea plucking machines, and the Kericho governor has been unrepentant on this matter. He has been very, very, very loud and insisting that tea companies must cede their ground to the demands or quit operations in the region altogether. Now, as CS nominee, what is your view on mechanized tea plucking in these estates? Okay, and considering that these multinational companies are a source of gainful employment, really, not only in Kericho but in Bomet and other counties, okay, who employ locals. Do you support the view of the governor that these companies must cede the ground, must cede to the demands of these locals, or pack and go home? Secondly, is I took some time to look at the Kenya Kwanza manifesto with regard to your docket. At page 55, there's a pronouncement that Kenya Kwanza commits to a fit for purpose universal social security system encompassing pension, occupational hazard, and unemployment insurance. End of quote. So, what could you kindly help jobless Kenyans understand what exactly is meant by unemployment insurance in that manifesto? Is it a monthly stipend given to jobless youths until they find some job? Because many Kenyans who are jobless would love to know how to benefit from this unemployment insurance. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, Honorable Florence is my friend also, but that's another story. Now, Madam Nominee.
She's just also.
Yeah. You know, Chairman, during the political times, when I make a lot of noise, she's one of the people who stop me in Parliament and tell me, end up polepole. But now, that's another story. Now, Madam Nominee, the biggest problem we are facing in employment of our population is the youth. Those are the people who are really suffering in this country, and they form a big bulk of our population. And you know, when they are looking for jobs, they will be told to bring, they say the qualification for the job, let's say, is 5 years experience. There is no university that gives you a degree of experience. You have just finished university now. Maybe you married at the university, you have a kid, you are jobless, you are tamaking here, and all the qualifications he has in terms of educational qualification and other qualifications, but the only one that doesn't have is experience, for example. That is why majority of them are jobless, and they are suffering. What do you think you can do as the minister in charge of employment, if you are approved by this house, to mainstream the youth so that in any employment that is done in this country, 60 to 70% goes to the youth and 30% to the elderly? My second question is the issue of if you look at the manifesto of Kenya Kwanza, they say that in 5 years they will finish malnutrition in this country completely. Everyone will be fed, stomachs will be full, everyone will be healthy, everyone is going to be happy, there will be reproduction of people in this country. How do you intend to achieve that in 5 years? What plans will you put in place to make sure that no Kenyan sleeps hungry within 5 years?
Robert Mbui. We'll take 5, Florence.
Thank you, Speaker. I would like to ask the nominee that we've all heard the proposal to increase savings. And the first thing that comes to mind is that in this country, the mamambogas, the boda-bodas, and those peasant farmers are struggling to even put food on the table and to educate their children. How do you reconcile those two? Increasing savings when people cannot even afford the basic needs. And then, how will you assure workers that if these savings are increased, that their money will be safe? Because I think the vehicle we are intending to use is NSSF, which in the past has been riddled with very serious cases of misuse of workers' money. In fact, I will tell you that there is a lot of corruption cases that occurred during the days of YK92, where they turned NSSF into a cash cow. What will you do to ensure this doesn't happen again?
When?
Thank you, Speaker Chair. I just have one question, and I note also that you are a teacher like I was before. And yes, so represent the teachers well. But I want to say, over the years, we have witnessed
social security and how to revamp social security. Let me start by saying this is a flagship project for this government, and the President has been very passionate about saving for the future. I know NSSF has been the fund that has been taking care of this, and maybe challenges have been there before. And want to speak to are the contributions that are made to NSSF. The 200 shillings that is paid by the worker and the employer is not enough to be able to save for the future. We have seen the challenges that beneficiaries have at the end or at retirement. They are not able to get those benefits because maybe the fund is not enough, it has not been invested in income generating projects. I think the savings have been earning very low interests, so the returns are not enough to be able to make meaningful benefits to the beneficiaries. However, I think we should look at what other countries are doing. When I looked at Uganda, looked at Tanzania, we are proposing in Kenya to raise the contributions to about 6% of our pay, of the pay of the workers. Across in Uganda, it is about 15%, 16%. So we are not even yet there. But we want to tell our people to save for the future. When we save more, we are guarding that future by having more contributions. The other thing that I know is that the contributions that we make is not pegged on the salaries that Kenyans have or the workers in Kenya get. For example, the person who gets a salary of 1 million still pays the 200 shillings. Really, we need to increase depending on the amount that a person is earning to be able to have better contributions and have a better contributions to NSSF. The other thing on universal social security is that we need Kenya to be able to be at the standard of ILO, where we have social security standards. The international standards are very high, and Kenya has not ratified that ILO standard, and we are yet to reach there. It will take maybe another 4 years for us to be able to reach that international standard. That question I will still answer on the question that has been asked on the same later on, that was asked by Honorable Bui. Now, the informal sector on NSSF savings that has been asked by Honorable Ichungwa, how we bring in the informal sector to be able to pay into this NSSF. What I know is that currently we are getting contributions from the employed workers. We are not getting contributions from the informal sector, the mama mboga, the boda boda sector. We need to find a way how we can generate or how we can attract payments from the informal sector. Either we partner with Safaricom so that when you load airtime, part of it goes to NSSF, and be able to know how we can bring on board and ensure that these investments are productive, so that we are encouraged to save onto NSSF. Because right now we have SACCOs. We go to SACCOs because we get dividends. So I think NSSF should also be able to attract these people on board and be able to benefit the informal sector. Honorable Ichungwa has also asked about the humane operations of the migrant workers. I want to empathize with the migrant workers that have gone to the Middle East and have been oppressed. They have been mistreated because of their stay there. And I want to say, no parent, no guardian sends a child across to the Gulf to expect them to come in a coffin or to expect them to be mistreated. They go there because of unemployment. They go there to look for jobs, to be able to improve their households back here. And I want to promise that I'll get to the bottom of this issue. And this issue has led to many deaths. When you talk about 62 deaths just this year, even that one life that we have lost as Kenya, we should find out what is happening. And I want to promise that I will look into it. My first action will be to look at, if I'm approved by this committee, is to be able to discuss with my counterpart in Saudi Arabia to be able to see what we can do to improve the conditions of these migrant workers. I'm happy to report that Parliament was able to approve 60 million to be able to create a safe home where we can put our migrant workers, the Kenyan workers who are in distress. Once we have them there, once we have the houses, maybe we can have those who are in desperate situations to hold them there as we prepare them to come back to Kenya, or even put them in other employment. The other challenge that we have as a Ministry of Labor is that the labor attaches that are in Gulf region are very few. For example, in Saudi Arabia, we only have one staff, one labor attaché that handles over 210,000 Kenyans who are spread across Saudi Arabia. So part of that money that has been approved will be employing about 10 labor attaches that we'll be able to spread them across Saudi Arabia in various cities so that they are able to handle them and be able to listen to them. My also thoughts are the workers that we have in Saudi Arabia are about 210,000. Within those cities, they should be able to be knowing who they are, who are there, be able to help each other, have some form of relaying of information from each other, so that we have sort of kind of people who man them among themselves and be able to report to the labor attaches to be able to sort their problems in time. The other issue that I would be trying to look at is to be able to ensure that they have a welfare fund, so that all the time they have issues, they can be helped. And I think they should also have some cover for medical, because it looks like when they are in problems, they are in health issues, they have health issues, they are not treated well, and they suffer, and by the time they are back here, our neighbors, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Ethiopia, there are 11 countries. I'll be following up on that to see how far they are. I hear the minister in charge currently is Minister of Labor from Ethiopia, and I'll be following up to see how much they've done. Speaking on the same, I would want to say it is also good for us to open up markets, more markets than Saudi Arabia, be able to do bilateral labor agreements with other countries. We don't have to rely on Saudi Arabia alone. The other thing that needs to be done is to streamline NEA, National Employment Authority, that does the registration of these agencies. I'm told the agencies is about 500. There could be gaps within those agencies. And it is a multi-sectoral committee that does the vetting of these agencies. The Ministry of Interior is involved. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is involved. We have the DCI. We have almost 10 government organizations. That committee needs to be looked into, streamlined, be able to see what these agencies are doing and ensure that they are doing the right thing. The other proposal is to ensure that there is pre-departure training for these migrant workers. Some of them, they go to Saudi Arabia without the basic skills. They don't have the language, so once they reach there, they are not able to speak in English, so they are not able to communicate with the Saudis. Number two, if they don't go through this training, once they reach there, they may not be able to do the household activities that they are supposed to do, and also even to be given the basics about the culture of the Saudis. So my thoughts are, we have a mandatory pre-departure training and ensure that no Kenyan domestic worker goes out without that training to go and work in that country.
Point of intervention, Honorable Chair. The issue here being discussed is that many Kenyans who go to Saudi Arabia,
yes,
come back dead.
Yes.
Nobody's complaining about whether they have the ability to do the job, whether they need training. The issue is, why are they ending up dead? Mm-hmm. And has the Saudi Arabian, I've never heard anyone saying that they're going to hold the Saudi Arabian government to account, because we have Saudi Arabians in Kenya, but they don't end up dead. Mm-hmm. But our children are ending up dead. So that is the issue. It doesn't matter how many committees or how many officers we send to Saudi Arabia, mm-hmm, because they are not police officers. it is the police officers and the security forces in Saudi Arabia that are not protecting the migrant workers. So even if you send 100 embassy officials and attaches, how will that protect them?
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I think it is also the system that is in Saudi Arabia. Once these migrant workers are in Saudi, they are under the mercies of the employer. They are not even supposed to move out of that household. They are not, that's why I was saying that pre-departure training will also try and help to show these Kenyans the kind of culture they have. They are within that household, that employer that has control over that person, that worker, so they do not get out of those homesteads. So even this, I agree, there is a problem and we need to address it. And I believe with the political goodwill, we are going to do much and stop this menace once and for all. Thank you.
All the questions.
Yes. Mr. Speaker.
A question on the airport, on the airline.
I thought she was noting them down.
My question.
I did.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for the direction from the Speaker.
My question on the pilot.
No, I have not finished.
Yes, no, that is a very serious case.
Thank you.
The Deputy Speaker's question was just an
I've finished and I've done Honorable Ichung'wa's.
All those 5 honorable members.
The third one by Honorable Ichung'wa was on the aging workforce in the international destinations. And he was asking, how can we help our youth be able to go and work there? I'm sure we can collaborate and see how we can create jobs for the youth. And in terms of even, they don't even have to go there. They can do some of the jobs through the internet and help them. Honorable Andai asked about the unrest in Kericho, plucking machines that happened about 2 weeks ago, and even the one that happened about 2 days ago. The view on mechanized tea estates. As a Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Labor and Social Protection, on labor issues, I want to say I'm ready to provide an environment for the businesses to be able to thrive in this country. Number 2, I would also provide an environment for the stakeholders to sit down and discuss. I'm aware the last agreement between FKE and the employees was that, and government was that 40% mechanization was being allowed and 60% employment for Kenyans, including the locals. So I want to believe where I am, the government's position is for the status quo to remain until we have the stakeholders on the table so that we can discuss and have dialogue. This is our country. We want jobs for our people, and we also, as a ministry, encourage mechanization to be done, but to a certain level. At the same time, employ our people. And I'll tell you, I come from that region, and you see tea farms that are very big, and maybe on my thoughts is that these multinational companies should also improve on CSR. What they're doing is not enough. They can do more than that. And then the land rates that are there are things that we can discuss on the table and agree and move on. Thank you. You also asked about the Kenya Kwanza manifesto on, I think it was about social security and unemployment. We cannot run away from unemployment in this country, and I want to believe that the Hustler Fund will be able to address this issue of unemployment, be able to provide money for the youths that are unemployed to be able to do their businesses, and encourage them that as even they do the businesses, they save for their retirement, they save for their future, and will be able to protect their investments in NSSF.
So is the Hustler Fund the equivalent of unemployment insurance envisaged in the Kenya Kwanza manifesto?
I'll relook at it. I don't want to say I know everything, but I'll be able to sit down and relate that issue. And you're welcome to my office. We can discuss again. Hustler Fund is for all Kenyans. It is not just for Kenya Kwanza. Thank you. Honorable Junet, my friend in Parliament, we were on different sides, but we related well, and I want to say thank you. Your question was on unemployment, the employment of population. We have youth that are very many that do not have experience, and every time they want to get employment, they are asked for their experience. I know through NITA, we can be able to take up youths that have finished various courses and attach them in various industries. So industrial attachment is one of our responsibilities as a ministry, and I know we'll be working with NITA to be able to ensure that our youth are taken up to be able to get that experience. There's a lot that is being done by NITA. I will tell you, we are not just looking at the white-collar jobs, we are also looking at even those artisans who have experience without going through any training, yet they have the skill. We have what has been started that is called recognition of prior learning. You recognize a skill that someone has, certified by NITA, and they can also be given the mandate to be able to train others, and NITA helps them in certifying them. I would also be reaching out to the other ministries that will work together to ensure that we take up most of our youths into employment, into attachments, into internships, so that we are able to give them experience and be ready for the job market. You also asked a question on Kenya Kwanza manifesto, where we'll have to finish malnutrition in 5 years. I want to say malnutrition affects children under 5 years. And I'll be working with most of the county governments that provide ECD education to ensure that these children are protected. We also have NGOs that have come on board that help us as a ministry to be able to provide food, to be able to provide stipends for those vulnerable, the vulnerable population like these children. Currently, there is an ongoing program in the ministry that is funded by World Bank and UNICEF, where the pilot program is being done in 5 counties of Marsabit. It is also being done in Kitui, another 5 counties. So the issue here to be able to spread across the country, we ensure we involve these county governments to ensure that our children do not die of malnutrition. We also ensure that they are vaccinated because they are under 5 years and they should be vaccinated against diseases. The other approach is to ensure that we have education on the masses to prevent malnutrition by ensuring that we provide foods that are right, and if they don't have the foods, we also encourage them to provide, the basics of a healthy diet. We also ensure that the mothers are able to breastfeed their babies, if possible, for the first 6 months. But I know the question could be, if that parent, if that mother cannot even be able to get food to eat, would she be able to produce milk to be able to breastfeed that baby? In other third world countries, in other developed countries, they have an equivalent of a blood bank, of breast milk bank, where those who have excess milk can be able to donate. Maybe we'll look at that in the near future. But I want to answer Honorable Junet by telling him that we will sort out that issue of malnutrition. It is also my area. I'm passionate about it. I'll go across and see how best we can be able to address the issue. Then you have the increase of savings for mama mboga and basic needs. yet they cannot get the basic needs. I said we will support the mabomboga, the boda, using the hustler fund, and as they do those businesses, we encourage them to save with NSSF for their future. Savings, how do we save with NSSF? How do we take care of our investments at NSSF? I look forward to streamline the NSSF. We ensure we have a board that is able to take care of the fund and be able to make investments. And we'll be able to do that by ensuring that we have quarterly reports about the investments that are put in the media to ensure that we have transparency. We will also ensure that we have the Auditor General to be able to audit the investments at NSSF, and then generally encourage the culture of saving by Kenyans. Chair, I think I've finished. There was a question by Honorable Mbui, I think on the large strikes, or is it? It is Owen, sorry. On the strikes at Kenya IOS, I also want to promise that I'll sit down with them and be able to look at the issues that are there in and be able to bring a solution to Kenya Airways.
Florence, I want us to upscale our speed.
Yes.
You have taken about 40 minutes to talk about some short questions from these colleagues. We'll take another round.
Yes.
This time, like I said, you have to be precise and concise. And when you ask questions, also be precise and concise. Mary, Ferdinand, Daud, Mishi. Let's take those first. George, did you also want to join the fray? So Mary, Ferdinand, George, Daud, Mishi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
One question each.
Speaker, we had an agreement. On this side, it's just the three of us. I have 3 questions, kindly.
I have already
Very
given,
short.
I've already given 5.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We were told earlier that NSSF has increased its contributions and returns on investment to 280 billion. And at the moment, there is an informal sector product called Haba Haba, where you contribute 25 shillings per day, and if you do that continuously for 5 years, you're able to get half of that money to refinance your business. How do you intend to improve on that? Secondly, with inflation, the cost of living has gone very high, and the minimum wage bill can hardly, the minimum daily wage, sorry, can hardly, sustain the ordinary worker. Having in mind the prevailing economic situation, how do you intend to deal with that issue of the minimum wage? And as I conclude, this is very dear to me, Mr. Speaker, with your permission, on the issue of social protection, famously known as Pese Awaze, widows and persons with disability. There are challenges in that sector. In the last, I think, 3 to 5 years, there is hardly any new entrants or beneficiaries. There's no registration of new beneficiaries into the fund, I think, and many others. How are you planning to deal with the issue of duplication and then the distribution of those social funds? And then there's also segregation. In some wards, you find it is the widows benefiting. You go to some wards, it is the persons with disability. So Kenyans are asking, where is equity there in these funds, in the distribution of those funds? What do you have to say about that? Thank you.
Flo, ex-colleague, I think Ichungo asked this question, and
to my best, because I've been affected, this Middle East issue, it should go beyond what you have said. Because the issue here is the agents, the Kenyan agents here locally, and agents in the Middle East, because I have actually a case. I have a case in the Middle East. The question is, the agents here and the agents in the Middle East are all bogus. Because the moment they have that connection, say 5 children or 5 girls or 4 or 10, whatever they are going to the Middle East, the moment they get to Middle East, these girls' telephone sets and passports are taken by employees. By the employer, sorry. And Florence, go down, because it's a very urgent thing. People are suffering. Then when they get there, and the passport has been taken, the telephone has been taken, so what happens is that this particular child, I call them the anomaly children, there's no connection between the embassy, our embassy in the Middle East, and the number of children that have been sent to that particular agent. Once they get the money, they close shop. That's why we have cases where a child dies in the Middle East, and there's no connection at all. You don't even know about it. We have a case, you remember, recently where somebody died and has been in the mortuary for almost 8 months because there was no information. So I think you do more than, I want to just request you, go down and more than what you've done. And then saying we're going to do this, and
she hasn't done anything. She's not in the office yet.
This is, I mean, the way she has been, she's telling us is that that's what she's going to do.
Yes.
And I'm simply saying you should do much more than that in case you're going to be a minister.
Excellent. That is just a comment. So you'll not spend time on it. Next.
Thank
you, Fernand, for that good comment.
Yes.
I'm sure she's noted.
Thank you, Chair. Nominee, minimum wage in Kenya.
Isn't that what Mary has been asking?
No, my question is totally different.
Yes.
Minimum wage in Kenya is 15,120. It is arrived at by agreement between the government and trade unions.
It's tripartite.
And then usually it is the government, the workers' unions,
and the employer.
FKE. So that the government possibly appears through FKE, but it is arrived at, settled, and it governs what the other workers would actually get incrementally. Yes, I get the word now. My question is this: how do you propose to work with some of the trade unions and their officials when we know for sure that they have abandoned workers to pursue parochial political interests?
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I want the nominee, congratulations first. Mheshimiwa Mary has told you about the old people and the PWDs. There is an issue of registration, late registration for old people, but the main issue is even the ones who are registered, they have to come and stay 1 or 2 days while accessing their money from either the bank or wherever they are supposed to be collecting. And sometimes it has even happened that for 3-4 months they do not get, and they're told maybe it's got lost in the system, it will come, and it never comes. So how are you going to handle it so that they do not have to come on borders, old people, you can see them, PWDs, and it's very difficult for them. So registration of PWDs and old people as well, please. It should be hurried up.
Mishi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, also just to add on what Daud and Emas have just said, Honorable Bore, you also need to ensure that you put measure to curb corruption. on the issue of cash transfer programs. My question is on the people with disability, noting that persons living with disability have been overlooked in terms of education, the labor force, and general social life. What affirmative action plans and even measures in terms of mainstreaming do you have for them? We have seen most of people with disability are just in the informal sector in terms of job opportunities, and few of them are in the white-collar jobs. These are the people where we need to put some measures in terms of employing some principle of equity to ensure that they are also catered in terms of this. Thank you.
Florence, can you answer those? You can assign a minute to each. They are very clear questions.
Thank you, Chair. Question by Honorable Mary Amase.
She asked 3.
She asked 3, yes. One of them was on the fund at NSSF, that currently it has about 280 billion. That is the accumulated value that they have currently. And I think she was asking how safe that fund is. Kindly come up again.
Microphone.
I said that they have a product called Haba Haba, where you contribute 25 shillings per day, and if you do that continuously for 5 years, you can actually be given half of that money to refinance your business. How do you intend to improve on that product?
Thank you. I don't have information on that, Haba Haba. I will ask for that information once approved and be able to look at what intentions they have. And if they are saving for that long, for 25 years, the 25 shillings per day for 5 years to be able to start businesses, I don't know how viable it is to take that long to be able to start a business. I thought the business is started as they contribute to be able to help them grow. You've asked a question on Inua Jamii, the challenges that are there. I want to agree, and I think I'll tie this question to the question that has been asked by Honorable Dawood and Honorable Mishi. I agree there is a problem with the cash transfer to the elderly. And when I asked about it, the answer that I was given is that the fund is not enough, so it cannot cut across all the over 70 years old. Not all of them are getting. So I'll be lobbying for more funding to ensure that these beneficiaries are able to get the stipend and ensure that they get on time, and also ensure that we clean up the database of these beneficiaries. We could be having ghost beneficiaries. We could be having the wrong people, the money going to the wrong hands. And I'm told some of the payments that are paid are usually paid through the bank, to ensure that if there are deaths in that population, the money is refunded back to the ministry and may be given to other beneficiaries. On that, I want to agree with you. I've been in Parliament. Every time you'd go to a function, the elderly will come and tell you, so-and-so is getting, and me, I'm not getting. There should be equity, and we ensure that everyone gets that is over 70 years. I know the current budget that is needed extra, I'm told, is about 10 billion to be able to cover everyone. Then that also ties to the National Social Security Fund, that in future we want to increase the contributions to NSSF to have a better retirement benefits, so that we don't have the stipends. We reduce on the stipends that the government has to pay to the overage. So for us, where we are, we start contributions, the mandatory ones, to NSSF to ensure that we have better savings and we don't continue with the Social Security Fund, so social protection stipends that we give out. There was a question by Honorable Emase on duplication by counties. I'm also not aware about that, where counties are also doing the same for the elderly. I know even as a woman rep, I was able to do that. I was targeting those vulnerable category to be able to support them.
What is she saying,
yes,
which makes a lot of sense, is
yes,
whether you are a woman rep, the money is not yours, it's from the government. Whether it's NSSF, whether it is central government, whether it is CDF, whatever, it's all public money. How can you harmonize so that we don't engage in duplex payments? That's what you asked me.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. I get you. I get you.
That is what I meant.
Yes.
I think we need to have a proper system and proper data so that we don't target the same.
Florence,
yes,
that is not enough. You are the minister.
Yes.
If we confirm you,
yes,
what are you going to do to stop duplex payments and therefore wastage? That's what Mary
we
wants
can
to know
merge
from
them
you.
And have
yes,
one line so that we also use only one fund and we don't duplicate the roles. And I request that you confirm me, Mr. Chair.
Yeah. So you know what this, you remember I told you they are looking at your suitability to hold this office. So you'll embrace them better if you appear to have solutions to the issues that they are raising. If 5 different agencies of government drawing money from the same source are paying, some paying even the same people, what policies will you put in place to stop this wastage so that this money can go to do something else for the betterment of our society? Isn't that so, Junet?
Yes, sir. You have put it in a proper manner, your chairman.
And Chair, I also want to promise that we'll work together with the committees that are involved. The Committee of Labor will work with you to be able to streamline. It is not a one person's job. We will do it together so that we serve Kenyans well.
Ferdinand, I think, just gave you direction on what he wants you to do.
Let me appreciate. I think he was also adding on a point on what we should do. And I want to appreciate what you have said. We will do more. We will still discuss and see how we can streamline the issue of the Gulf region.
I have a cousin suffering. We don't even know where she is. 8 months down the line.
You already said that, Ferdinand. Go to the next question.
Honorable Murungara asked about the minimum wage bill of 15,120, that we need to sit down and agree on the increment. Am I right? That is what you wanted me to address. Okay. We'll sit down and agree with them. And I also want to admit that we have a wage council that has already been approved, but it is not operational. I will ensure that it works to be able to address the issue of wages across the country and across the workers.
He also asked you about trade unionists using workers' money to play parochial politics. Isn't that what you asked? Yes.
Yes, Chair. I also wanted to add regarding the same. What is she going to do to protect our workers from that cartel from Kotu?
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Chair. I've had the request by Honorable Murungara and Honorable Mokami. It's addressing the issue of these unions misusing the money for the workers, the contributions that they make. And workers need to be protected. And I want to promise that I will stop that, ensure that that money that the workers contribute goes to their welfare, goes to helping them, but not for a few individuals to enrich themselves. Thank you.
Daud, did you ask a question? Yes. Daud and Mishi?
The
PWD's registration and that.
Yeah, we will also streamline the issue of PWDs, ensure that they also get their stipends.
No, it's not just the stipends.
Yes.
There is a problem in registering new PWDs so that they can get cards, so that they can get services from the government. There is that issue.
I met the chair of the PWD's council, and he assured me that there is a new card that has been developed to be able to help the PWDs. So they will do away with the current cards. They have now better cards to serve them well, and also address their issues in employment and be able to have the tax-free benefits.
Speaker, I'm not satisfied.
Honorable Mishi has talked about the corruption. I'm coming to your question, Honorable Mishi. You asked about curbing corruption in social security, in social protection, in the stipends that are given out. And I've said I will clean the system and ensure we have a clean system, we have the right beneficiaries, and they go to the right people. And I think we'll be working with the Ministry of Interior so that we are able to get the information from the ground to the chief so that we get the correct beneficiaries. We'll work with the government institutions to ensure that we have the right people.
In fact, Florence, you'll find that there are people, even probably in your own village, who retired 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Yes.
And they're still carrying around papers now. They have even been discolored. You don't know what color they were. Looking for their pension. They come to Nairobi, they come to the MP's office, they go to everywhere they can meet somebody they know. They go to NSSF, they can't even enter the building. And they made their contributions. This is one of the things that you must address. Probably even decentralized payment of those benefits to the counties.
Correct.
So that people access their pensions from the nearest point possible.
Chair, I want to agree with you.
Yeah, because Chair, sometimes what happens?
Yes.
What that pensioner is looking for gets finished with the transport money that he comes to Nairobi with and goes back. By the time he spends the transport money from Bungoma to Nairobi and goes back, the money he was looking for is less than that.
Yes, exactly.
He spends more.
I agree with you, Chair. I agree with the honorable members. There's a problem there. NSSF take the contributions, but when it comes to payment of the benefits, it becomes a nightmare. I even saw their automation system. Their automation system is only on registration of members. But when it comes to the payment of benefits to the members, the process stops. I will want to streamline that. Let our public, let the beneficiaries get the benefits, even on phone. What is hard in doing that? I'm ready to do that. Thank you.
Naisula?
An intervention on the NSSF.
Okay.
And it's about, there was a suggestion, maybe the nominee can, that if we continue allowing NSSF to collect, they are the ones in charge of collection, they are the ones of saving, they are the ones of, releasing the money to the, why don't you separate? Maybe NSSF can collect, another body can be able now to deal with paying the pensioners instead of the same people, because they are the same people who bring a lot of bureaucracy within that place.
Naisula, you can combine that with the Naisula and Caleb.
That one was not mine. That was an intervention.
You have had your bite.
Because Speaker, our questions are not answered.
Chair.
Yes.
You are my friend. Let me ask mine. This is just simple. One is about child labor.
Okay.
Honorable Chair, you come to the urban areas, you'll be very surprised. Or you go to the sand places or just almost everywhere. Children, minors, are the ones who are working and getting paid. And to an effect, these children don't go to school. So what is the nominee going to do to address aspects of child labor? And about the domestic workers, which are these countries which are notorious? Not every Arab country maybe is notorious. Maybe you need to tell us which are these Arabic countries, which are the UAE countries which are notorious on matters to do with the domestic, like in Dubai, we've never had those kind of issues. I'm just saying. So maybe from you, what have you learned, and which are these countries that have this effect? Thank you.
Aisula.
Thank you, Chair. And I just want to say that the nominee completed her full term in Budget Committee. Maybe Honorable Ishungwa should ask for some lessons. Now, this is just a comment and maybe an advice on this issue of our ladies and girls in the Middle East. The bigger question is, where are they going? You know, so they see the suffering, they see a lady has come back in a, you know, as dead, and they are still going. And so as a policy maker and with your colleagues, if this committee approves you, you have to really think of on the issue of unemployment. And I think we've asked that question to almost every nominee. At a policy level, how you're going to look at the issue of unemployment in this country. Because it's not just enough to have these conversations and our ladies and girls continue to go every other day. On the same matter, in your ministry, and this is just a comment, you need to relook at the people at your ministry and their relationship with the agents. You know, it was ridiculous the other day to see an agent now making the ladies to be the villains instead of the victims. And they take high commissions from them and now say, but they're the ones who go and stay with their boyfriends and things like that. So you have to look at also those who want to go directly, and they are not allowed to get even the paperwork is so difficult unless you go through an agent. And so this is a very serious issue that we have to look at. But to my question now, growing up, Kenya used to do so well in terms, especially on one front, where our labor force was so competitive, it was professional, and especially in one of the service industry, that was tourism. You know, we were known across the region, but we can slowly see that it's going down. I need to know what steps you will take to ensure that our standards are raised, because you know tourism is one of our greatest foreign exchange earner. How do we take our competitiveness to where we were known in the region and even internationally?
Those, Florence?
Chair, I was to...
Oh, I miss you, yes.
Yeah, thank you. Florence, you were in Parliament, and remember we passed the Employment Amendment Act of 2022. And one of the jobless youths out here sent me something. Clearance and the pre-employment offer certificates requirements were abolished, as well as the requirement for payment of such certificates on the Amendment of Employment Act of 2007. This means HELB, police clearance, CRB certificates should be issued free of charge and within 7 days from the application request, and only after an offer of employment has been guaranteed. 6 months later, DCI and the several CRBs from Metropoli, Credit Info, TransUnion are still levying fees like the law never came in effect after 23rd of April. There are also long as than 7 days delays in issuance of such certificates. This is always a problem of us passing laws that are never implemented. This is a law that is existing, acts, statutes that are never implemented. Now you are going there. You pass the law yourself. You are going there. These youths who are listening, are you facing them in the eye and tell them you are going to do something different, that from the time you take over, such complaints are not going to come to us? Just face the youth of the country and tell them that you are going to take over. And this issue of, allow me, Chair, because I was in the Committee of Labour last Parliament, and we tackled this issue of our girls dying in Arabian Peninsula, Gulf countries. There are cartels. Part of the ministries are doing business. Don't don't just assume or cover up. go and handle the cartels and you'll solve these issues. They are the top officials who are doing the business.
Chair, I'll be very brief with your indulgence. 1 minute. I've just heard you say that again you will change the cards for people living with disability. There was a time it was done also for the elderly. We have to have efficiency once and for all. And you know, even as you do it, the community members, by the time they don't get it, it's such a tedious process. And then every time we go to the constituency, we're being asked, but I did this, and you're not efficient. How will you make sure that there is efficiency in the ministry on these monies, the cash transfer, once and for all?
Florence, you can answer those. Some are comments, you appreciate them.
Yes.
Or disagree with them. Others are questions, you answer them.
I think we started with Honorable Naisula.
Yes.
Her question was on what is going on, the policy on migrant workers. That possibly, there's a policy, there's a bill actually, on migrant workers management bill that has been drafted. It is currently at the AG's office that needs to have some legal drafting before it comes to Parliament. So let's work together with the committee in Parliament to be able to have this bill, to be able to streamline all those issues that we are talking about, to be able to fill in the gaps that we have on the migrant workers. And I know we'll be able to sort out those issues that the members have spoken to. The other question that came up, I hope I will not jump. If I jump, let me know, is the one by Honorable Gikaria. He's talked about child labor. I want to say we will strengthen supervision of children that, you know, in the counties, we make use of the children officers to ensure that we don't have child labor. And we'll work with you as area MPs, identify those areas where we have child labor being practiced. If it is in the sand harvesting areas, we ensure that our officers go there and ensure that these children go to school. We'll also work with the Ministry of Interior and the county governments to ensure that that problem is eradicated. Question by Honorable Kalib Amisi on the Employment Act 2022. Thank you that you have passed that act. Mine is to implement to ensure that the youths of our country are able to get the clearance free of charge so that they are not made to pay. I will ensure that that is implemented. Thank you for that information.
I asked about our labor force and its competitiveness.
In the hospitality industry, you said, and Gikaria's child labor issue?
I've addressed that one on of Honorable Gikaria.
Okay.
What is not addressed is about the notorious countries.
Oh yes, on the notorious countries, I think we have an issue with
Let me help you, Florence.
Yes.
You know, you should approach it this way, if we confirm you. We have 300,000 Kenyans in Tanzania working and living. They have no challenges. We have close to 500,000 Kenyans in the UK working and living. And in this country today, our diaspora is giving us more foreign exchange than any other undertaking, including those girls in Saudi Arabia. This problem that we're having now should not be rushed through condemnation and roadside statements. You need, if we confirm you and you get into the office, your counterpart from Foreign Affairs told us if we confirm him, the next day he'll be on a flight to Saudi Arabia. Then we have you here carrying the same plate, Philippines has over 2 million domestic workers in the Arabian Peninsula, and they contribute immensely to their GDP. So instead of bastardizing the process, you need to have a collective team of yourself, foreign affairs, and any other agents of government that's involved, and engage bilaterally. Why are our girls dying in Saudi Arabia and not in UAE or not Oman or not in Kuwait? Those are the issues you need to address. Because if you just rush in, condemn, make declarations, you'll do the wrong thing. Because these girls leave this country because there are no jobs. They earn a living to sustain their parents. Most of them are single mothers, sustain their children. Now a problem has arisen. Do you solve it by condemning, or you solve it by looking at the root cause to deal with it? That's my advice to you. If we confirm you, it should be your first item on agenda. Don't just jump on a plane to go. Have serious consultations internally. These so-called agents, who license them? How many are they? How do they recruit these girls? How many centers in Saudi Arabia? We have big towns, Dammam, we have Riyadh, we have all those towns, Jeddah. Do you have labor attaches in those towns who can keep the records of these girls, know where they work, who they work for, and regularly check on their welfare? These are the things you'd look at, because we are condemning more than providing solutions, and it's not helpful. Yes, Junet.
Chair, just to add on what you said, Chair. Look at, Chair, the last 3 years, what has sustained this economy so much is the remittances from the diaspora. And that is the reason why in the Azimio manifesto and even the Kenya Kwanza manifesto, there is diaspora affairs, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and diaspora issues, because they have realized the importance the diaspora is playing in our economy. Look, the public service now, where everyone looks for a job when they finish university, can only employ 1 million people maximum. But only, you've just quoted here, Saudi Arabia only alone employs 210,000 people. So if you include the other parts of the Arabian Peninsula, the way the speaker said, you may be talking about 600,000-700,000 people. If all those people were to come back to Kenya, do you think it will be catastrophic? Don't you think, it will be catastrophic? So we need to get a proper solution to this problem. As the speaker said, not only condemnation, we condemn the heinous act that's happening there, but on the other side, we have to get a permanent solution to that problem. And the solution is the way the speaker is advising.
Speaker, if I may add.
Yes.
I think, Speaker, I wanted to raise on a point of order. Yeah. I think 85 or 95. I think you have concluded this matter, Speaker. You have really summarized. And that's a vision for the nominee. She only praised that the House confirms her. And of course, you know, Speaker, your House, which is Parliament, established the committee in charge of diaspora issues, which means Parliament has taken this issue very critically, and then now they can link with the minister. Don't you think, Speaker, you have summarized and we can move forward?
Yeah. Yes, I wanted to add you, Speaker, on what you just said, and it's quite a very important point. That's why we are deliberating on. Most of the time, because we dealt with these matters when I was in the Committee of Labor, our girls go there innocently through the normal channels, whether it's government, but they find other lucrative work that we cannot mention here. So you must pursue it in depth. Don't just look at it from the face value. In Philippines, the reason why they succeeded, because they have unified the program where it is through the government only, not the agents. Because most businesses start through this unscrupulous business, because it becomes more lucrative to look for other work, but not the work that was sent there for. So the agents may be innocent.
Thank you. Florence?
Chair, let me just ask.
Yes, Mukami.
Regarding the social. We have so many elderly people in our villages, and they are living in a pathetic condition. Do you have any plans to do maybe elderly homes for them and for our youth who are really drinking?
Thank you, Chair. Let me appreciate. You've actually summed it up, and I know this is an emotive issue, the issue of the migrant workers in the Gulf region. Of course, I've heard the presentations from the various sectors, NEA, NITA, but at the back of my mind, I have a feeling people want to protect their jobs, they want to protect the status quo, but I want to promise this House, this committee, that I'm up to the task. I'll get to the bottom of this and ensure that this problem of migrant workers come to a stop. You've clearly said about Philippines. Philippines are doing very well because they have systems that are working and they protect their workers. And I promise to be able to review the bilateral labor agreements with these countries. And we cannot just blankly say we stop the movement of these workers. We already have several that are there that we need to protect and ensure they are living well and having good working conditions. Thank you. There's a question that I've just been asked. Maybe it is a thought by Honorable Mukami on how we can help the elderly. The stipends that we have are even too little. I don't even think the 2,000 shillings that we give them per month is enough. And we are struggling with that stipend. So before we even go to the safe houses, maybe we look for organizations that we can bring on board to support the church organizations. I think the Catholic have a safe home for the elderly. We can encourage them, we partner with them, we work with them, and see how we can improve that lot. And also have the county governments come in and see how we can support them. Thank you.
Thank you, Florence. I think we have come to
Speaker, I want to ask
Ms. Shimbogo.
Honorable Speaker, I was just asking, are these countries from the Gulf not part of International Labour Organization, so that maybe we can take those grievances in the higher level, international level forums?
Mishi, most of the issues are bilateral, actually. So we don't need to go to ILO. They're bilateral. And Saudi has an embassy here. Kenya has an embassy in Saudi. So it's quite easy, Florence and other government ministries and agencies to deal with this matter. Bring our engagement with Florence to an end. We have served about 8 minutes, but you'll consume 3 of them to tell us your final testament.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, honorable members, for giving this opportunity to come before you. I want to appreciate the role that you have played. It is a process that I really appreciate. Coming last, I was able to see my colleagues, and I'm proud of you. I'm proud of what you have done. I want us to encourage ourselves that we serve our country, we serve our citizens, and I promise to do my very best. And I want to lastly thank His Excellency the President for giving me this opportunity as a nominee for as a Cabinet Secretary for Labor and Social Protection. I look forward with working with you, with working with the National Assembly, the Senate, and other arms of government in addressing the issues of Kenyans. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Florence. We now discharge you and release you to go to your other duties. Sergeant, you can show the nominee the way to and Sergeant, once you're done, Florence, there are things that you can sort out with the clerk's office. Sergeant, our next engagement is with Mercy Kiru Wanjau. Kimani.
Na mtazamaji, Florence Bore anaondoka mbele ya kamati ya uteuzi ya bunge ambayo ndio imepewa jukumu la kupiga msasa ama kuwapiga msasa wale mawaziri walioteuliwa kujaza baraza la mawaziri lake Rais Dr. William Ruto. Na kwake Florence amezongwa na maswali mengi wabunge hapo wakiuliza maswala yanayofungamana na ajira za ughaibuni, vile vile zile pesa za wazee pamoja na ajira kwa vijana, ambapo wengi wao wamesemekana kukosa kazi kwenye taasisi mbalimbali za serikali. Na kuna swala ambalo amelizungumzia Florence hapo kuhusu ajira hizi za vijana, akisema kwamba watashirikiana na taasisi ya NITA, ambapo vijana wengi wanapojaribu kutafuta ajira kwenye afisi mbalimbali basi usemekana hawana uzoefu wa kutosha. Lakini amejitetea akasema kwamba kunayo taasisi ya NITA ambayo inaweza kutoa mafunzo ama nafasi tu za kujifundisha hizi kazi ama kujizoesha katika ajira ama masomo ama taaluma walizosomea, kiasi cha kwamba kitawapatia uzoefu wa kutosha wa kuweza kutafuta ajira kwenye afisi mbalimbali ambazo huwa mara nyingi zinatafuta watu walio na uzoefu fulani ama waajiriwa walio na uzoefu wa miaka fulani. Kwa hivyo amesema atajaribu kushughulikia swala hilo kwa kuungana na taasisi ya NITA kuweza kutoa mafunzo kwa vijana wengi wanaotoka kwenye vyuo vikuu ama kwenye taasisi za mafunzo mbalimbali na ambao bado hawajaajiriwa kwa kukosa uzoefu wa kutosha ama miaka ya kutosha ya kufanya kazi. Vile vile kuna Wanjau na tayari ameshafika, na kama ilivyo kawaida ataelekezwa kuchukua kiapo chake. Masi alikuwa mkurugenzi mkuu kwenye halmashauri ya mawasiliano nchini CA, na kwa sasa ameteuliwa kuingia kama katibu kwenye baraza la mawaziri la serikali yake Rais William Ruto, na kupeleka kwa moja kwa matangazo haya. Mimi ni Kamchemenza.